There's a simple truth we often forget. What people say about you is not who you are. It's just their opinion, their perspective, shaped by their own experiences, biases, and insecurities. Yet how often do we let someone's words or actions ruin our day, shake our confidence, or make us question our worth? It's time to change that. Because the moment we allow others to control how we feel, we hand over the keys to our happiness. And if we let that happen, we will always be at the mercy of the world around us. But here's the good news. You are in control. You get to decide how much space someone else's words or actions take up in your mind. What people say about you is a reflection of their own perspective, not an absolute truth. Yet how often do we let someone's words define us? How many times have we changed our behavior, doubted our abilities, or questioned our worth because of something someone else said? We hear an offhand comment about our appearance, a critique of our work, or an opinion about our choices, and suddenly it's all we can think about. But here's the truth. People's opinions are just that, opinions. They are not laws of nature, they are not facts carved in stone, and they are certainly not an accurate measure of your potential. Everyone sees the world through their own lens, shaped by their experiences, insecurities, and beliefs. That means when someone gives you their opinion, it often says more about them than it does about you. Think about it. Two people can see the same piece of art and have completely different reactions. One might find it inspiring and beautiful, while the other might find it unimpressive or confusing. Does that mean the art itself changed? No, it simply means different people see things differently. The same is true for you. The way people perceive you is based on their own internal world. Maybe they were raised to believe that success should look a certain way, so they criticize your unconventional path. Maybe they were taught that vulnerability is a weakness, so they mock your openness. Maybe they are struggling with their own self-doubt, so they try to bring others down to feel better. None of this has anything to do with you, yet we often internalize these judgments as if they are the final verdict on who we are. Now let's flip the script. Have you ever been in a situation where you misunderstood someone? Maybe you judged them too quickly or assumed something about them that later turned out to be wrong. We've all done it. That's proof that opinions are fluid, subjective, and often based on incomplete information. If we can misjudge others, why do we assume others' judgments of us are completely accurate? This is where self-awareness becomes your greatest tool. If you don't define yourself, the world will do it for you. And the world is inconsistent. One day you're praised, the next you're criticized. One group of people may admire you, while another may not understand you at all. If your sense of self is built on external validation, you will always be chasing approval, bending yourself to fit different expectations, and feeling anxious about what others think. But if you establish your own identity, grounded in your values, beliefs, and self-worth, outside opinions lose their power. Does this mean you should ignore feedback entirely? Of course not. Growth requires listening and learning. But there's a difference between being open to constructive feedback and being controlled by opinions. The key is discernment. Learning to differentiate between valuable insights that help you grow and opinions that are simply noise. When someone offers a perspective, ask yourself, is this coming from a place of knowledge or just personal preference? Does this align with my values and goals? Does this feedback actually serve me? If the answer is no, let it go. There will always be people who don't like you, people who don't understand you, people who criticize just because they can. But their words only carry weight if you let them. Confidence is not about silencing every critic. It's about not letting their voices dictate your direction. At the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters is the one you hold about yourself. Because when you believe in who you are, external voices become background noise, and that is when you truly become unstoppable. The story you tell yourself is the most powerful story you will ever hear. It shapes the way you see the world, the way you respond to challenges, and ultimately the way you live your life. Yet for many of us, this inner narrative is filled with doubt, fear, and negativity. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. And the more we repeat these stories, the more they become our reality. But here's the truth. Your thoughts are not facts. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. That voice in your head that tells you you're not worthy, it's not an objective observer. It's a reflection of past experiences, societal influences, and deep-seated fears. And unless you challenge it, it will continue to control you. Think about a time when you doubted yourself. Maybe you were about to take on a new challenge, a big presentation, a job interview, or a personal goal. And your mind started filling with reasons why you might fail. What if I mess up? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not good enough? These thoughts don't come from reality, they come from fear. And if you listen to them, they will paralyze you. Now imagine if you replace that inner dialogue with something different. Instead of what if I fail, you ask, what if I succeed? Instead of I'm not ready, you told yourself, I'm capable and I will figure it out. The shift might seem small, but its impact is massive, because the way you talk to yourself directly affects your actions, and your actions determine your results. Think of your mind as a garden. If you constantly plant seeds of doubt, fear, and self-criticism, you will grow insecurity and hesitation. But if you plant seeds of confidence, self-belief, and determination, you will grow resilience and success. The choice is yours. Many of the most successful people in the world didn't get there because they were the smartest or the most talented. They got there because they refused to let negative narratives define them. They learned to rewrite their inner dialogue. They replaced I can't with I will. They refused to let failures become labels and instead saw them as lessons. So how do you master your inner narrative? First, become aware of it. Pay attention to the way you speak to yourself, especially in difficult moments. If you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good at this, reframe it. I'm still learning and I'm improving every day. If you hear yourself saying, I don't belong here, challenge it. I worked hard to be here and I bring value. Second, stop defining yourself by past mistakes or failures. Just because something didn't work out before doesn't mean you're incapable. It simply means you learned something new. The past does not dictate the future unless you let it. Third, feed your mind with the right influences. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, consume content that inspires you, and engage in activities that build your confidence. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your thoughts, so choose one that helps you grow. Lastly, practice self-compassion. The way you speak to yourself matters. If you wouldn't say something to a close friend, don't say it to yourself. Treat yourself with the same kindness, patience, and encouragement that you offer to others. At the end of the day, the voice inside your head is the one you hear the most. Make sure it's one that lifts you up, not one that holds you back, because when you change your inner narrative, you change your life. Emotional control is not something you are born with, it is something you develop. Many people believe that staying calm under pressure, handling criticism gracefully, or not letting frustration take over is simply a personality trait that some people have and others don't, but that's not true. Emotional control is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. Think about the last time you lost control of your emotion. Maybe you snapped at someone in anger, felt overwhelmed by anxiety, or let a single negative comment ruin your entire day. In that moment, it probably felt like you had no choice. It just happened. But if you step back, you'll see that there was a process. Something triggered an emotional reaction, and instead of managing it, you let it take over. That doesn't make you weak or incapable. It simply means you haven't trained this skill yet. The first step in mastering emotional control is awareness. You cannot change what you don't recognize. Pay attention to your emotional patterns. What situations make you feel defensive? What words trigger your frustration? What kinds of setbacks make you feel like giving up? When you understand your emotional triggers, you gain the ability to manage them before they take control of you. The second step is to pause. When something upsets you, your natural reaction is to act on impulse. You feel hurt, so you lash out. You feel frustrated, so you shut down. But in almost every situation, reacting immediately is not the best response. Instead, give yourself a moment. Take a breath. Count to 5. Step away from the situation if needed. That short pause gives your brain time to shift from reacting emotionally to responding rationally. Third step is reframing. Often the way we interpret a situation determines how we feel about it. If someone gives you negative feedback, you can see it as an attack, or you can see it as an opportunity to improve. If someone cuts you off in traffic, you can assume they are being rude, or you can consider that maybe they are rushing to an emergency. Reframing helps you take control of your emotions by changing the meaning you attach to events. Another critical part of emotional control is understanding that not everything deserves a reaction. Imagine carrying a backpack, and every negative comment, frustration, or setback is a rock being placed inside. If you react to everything, you'll be carrying a heavy load all the time, draining your energy. But if you learn to let go of things that don't matter, your backpack stays light, and you move through life with more ease. Emotional control does not mean suppressing your feelings. It means managing them in a way that serves you rather than harms you. Anger, frustration, and disappointment are normal human emotions, and they exist for a reason. The key is to express them in a productive way rather than letting them dictate your actions. Instead of yelling in frustration, communicate your concerns clearly. Instead of shutting down when you feel hurt, express how you feel in a constructive way. Mastering this skill takes time. You will still have moments where emotions get the best of you. But the goal is progress, not perfection. The more you practice, the better you become. Over time, you'll find that situations that once triggered an immediate reaction now feel easier to handle. You'll notice that you recover from setbacks faster, that criticism doesn't shake you as much, and that your relationships improve because you respond with clarity rather than emotion. Emotional control is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It helps you make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and navigate life with more confidence. And the best part, it's a skill that anyone can master, including you. Not everything in life requires your attention, and not every battle is worth fighting. Yet so many of us waste our energy engaging in conflicts that don't serve us, arguments that lead nowhere, debates that drain us, and emotional battles that only leave us feeling exhausted. The reality is your energy is finite. If you spend it on every disagreement, every rude comment, and every frustrating situation, you will have nothing left for the things that truly matter. Think about the last time you got into an argument that, in hindsight, wasn't worth it. Maybe it was with a stranger online, a colleague who refused to see your point, or a friend who said something that rubbed you the wrong way. At that moment, it felt necessary to defend yourself, to prove you were right, or to make the other person understand. But when it was all over, what did you gain? Did the argument change anything? Did it add value to your life? More often than not, the answer is no. The truth is, many battles are distractions disguised as necessities. We convince ourselves that we need to engage, that we must respond, that we cannot let something go. But what if we did? What if instead of reacting to every frustrating situation, we simply moved on? What if we chose peace over proving a point? That is where real strength lies, not in constant battles, but in knowing which ones are worth fighting. One of the most powerful things you can do is ask yourself a simple question. Does this really matter? In the grand scheme of your life, will this argument, this criticism, or this minor inconvenience affect your long-term happiness, success, or well-being? If not, then why give it your energy? The most successful and fulfilled people in the world are not those who win every argument. They are those who know when to walk away. This doesn't mean you should avoid conflict altogether. Some battles are necessary. Standing up for yourself, protecting your values, and defending those who cannot defend themselves. But these are intentional battles, not impulsive ones. They are chosen with purpose, not entered out of habit or ego. The key is discernment, knowing the difference between a battle that will move you forward and one that will only drain you. Emotional maturity is understanding that not every opinion needs a response. Not every insult requires retaliation. Not every situation demands your involvement. You are not obligated to prove yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you. You do not need to convince those who are unwilling to listen, and you certainly do not need to lose your peace over things that have no real impact on your life. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you stopped carrying the weight of unnecessary battles. If you didn't let minor annoyances ruin your day, if you didn't engage in arguments that lead nowhere, if you redirected that energy toward things that actually matter, your growth, your goals, your happiness, the next time you feel tempted to engage in a pointless conflict, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this battle worth my time and energy? If not, let it go. Walk away. Protect your peace. Because at the end of the day, your energy is too valuable to be wasted on battles that don't serve you. Boundaries are often misunderstood. Many people think of them as walls, rigid barriers that shut people out, isolate us, or make us seem cold. But boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about filtering what you allow into your life. They are not about shutting doors, but about deciding which ones to keep open and under what conditions. Think of boundaries like the filter on a coffee maker. You wouldn't want to drink coffee with all the grounds floating in it. The filter's job is to let the good part through while keeping out what doesn't belong. Your personal boundaries work the same way. They help you separate what nourishes you from what drains you, what deserves your time from what doesn't, and what contributes to your well-being from what harms it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that having strong boundaries means being selfish. In reality, the opposite is true. When you don't set boundaries, you end up stretched too thin, overcommitted and resentful. You say yes when you want to say no. You tolerate behaviors that exhaust you, and eventually you burn out. But when you establish healthy boundaries, you protect your energy, your mental well-being, and your relationships. Many of us struggle with setting boundaries because we fear disappointing others. We don't want to seem difficult, unkind, or uncooperative. But here's the truth. People who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries. And those who don't respect them, they are the very reason you need them. Healthy boundaries apply to all areas of life. your time, your relationships, your work, and even your emotions. They are a way of teaching others how to treat you. If you constantly answer work emails late at night, people will assume you're always available. If you allow someone to speak to you with disrespect, they will continue doing it. If you always put others' needs before your own, they will expect you to do so. You are constantly setting a precedent for how people interact with you, whether you realize it or not. So how do you set boundaries without feeling guilty? First, understand that boundaries are not about control. They are about clarity. They help you communicate what is and isn't acceptable in your life. They are not demands, they are guidelines. Second, be clear and direct. You don't have to be harsh, but you do have to be firm. Instead of saying, I guess I could stay late, say, I leave work at 6, so I won't be able to stay. Instead of allowing someone to take advantage of your kindness, say, I'd love to help, but I can't commit to that right now. You don't need long explanations. A simple, confident response is enough. Third, remember that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an excuse for prioritizing your well-being. Saying no to things that drain you means saying yes to things that fulfill you. Finally, enforce your boundaries. Setting them is only the first step. If someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, they are showing you that they do not respect you. At that point, you have a choice. Either reinforce the boundary with stronger consequences, or reconsider that relationship altogether. At the end of the day, boundaries are not about keeping people out. They are about creating space for the right people, opportunities, and experiences to come in. They help you live life on your terms, not on the expectations of others. They protect your peace, your time, and your emotional health. So don't be afraid to set them. You're not building walls. You're simply deciding what you allow in. And that is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. Criticism is inevitable. No matter who you are, what you do, or how hard you try, there will always be someone with an opinion about you. Some will be constructive, others will be harsh, and some will be outright unfair. But the way you handle criticism determines whether it becomes a source of self-doubt or a tool for growth. The key is to turn criticism into clarity, using it not as something that breaks you, but as something that sharpens your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Most of us react to criticism emotionally. When someone points out our flaws, we feel attacked, embarrassed, or even angry. Our first instinct is often to defend ourselves, dismiss the criticism, or internalize it as a personal failure. But when we react this way, we miss an opportunity. Criticism, when filtered correctly, can offer valuable insights. It can show us where we need to improve, highlight blind spots we didn't see, and even reinforce our confidence when we realize some criticism is not worth our energy. The first step in turning criticism into clarity is learning to separate useful feedback from noise. Not all criticism is created equal. Some criticism comes from people who genuinely want to help us grow. These are the voices we should listen to. But then there's criticism that is driven by jealousy, negativity, or personal biases. These are the voices we should filter out. So how do you tell the difference? Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, who is this coming from? Is it from someone you respect, someone with experience, or someone who knows you well? Or is it from someone who criticizes everyone and everything? 2, what is the intention behind it? Is it meant to help you improve, or is it meant to tear you down? Constructive criticism offers solutions, while destructive criticism only points out problems. 3, does it align with my goals? Just because someone has an opinion doesn't mean it's relevant to your journey. Some criticism reflects someone else's perspective, not your reality. Once you filter criticism, the next step is to extract value from it. Instead of reacting emotionally, pause and reflect. If the criticism is valid, use it as a tool for self-improvement. If someone points out a flaw in your work, see it as a chance to refine your skills. If a friend calls you out on a bad habit, take it as an opportunity for self-awareness. Growth requires discomfort, and sometimes criticism is the discomfort that pushes us forward. However, if the criticism is unfair or unhelpful, let it go. Not every opinion deserves your time. You are not obligated to carry the weight of someone else's negativity. Confidence comes from knowing yourself well enough that outside opinions don't shake your foundation. A powerful mindset shift is to view criticism as data rather than judgment. When you remove the emotional charge, criticism becomes just another piece of information to analyze. Imagine you're a scientist running an experiment. If the data suggests something isn't working, you don't take it personally, you adjust and try again. The same applies to life. Use criticism as feedback, not as a personal attack. At the end of the day, criticism will always exist. You can't control what people say, but you can control how you respond. Let criticism sharpen you, not shatter you. Let it bring clarity, not confusion. Because the moment you stop fearing criticism and start using it as a tool for growth, you take control, not just of your confidence, but of your entire future.